Okay, it's January 12, 2016. This is a Moon Hologram orb cluster. It's only a sliver tonight. You can see the orbs in space all around it. They also clustered to make up the Moon Hologram. Okay. You can see a lot of orbs all over. That's what distorts the video and the photos. I put on two photo videos recently, just the last two, and people just didn't get it, that it wasn't poor photography, but all these orbs distorting the photos, because I didn't want to change the photos by using contrast or anything else. I just kind of put them on the original images, and not too many people or no one actually could see through what the images really represented. I was disappointed after having put on so many videos of these orbs and everything, and I was disappointed that people weren't able to see the difference and to see all the spacecraft and everything that was in those images. So I'm just trying to see if there's any big orbs that are noticeable just here, but you can see how fast they move, and those orbs, they revolve around the entire Moon Hologram and our Moon Hologram or cluster nucleus, because that's the big cluster that is responsible for creating the moon, as we call it. But the moon is a living organism, and it's a cluster of all these orbs. As you can see, there's a lot of them, and this is not pixels, this is orbs. These are orbs, I mean. And that red line there, that represents the electromagnetic field holding that orb cluster nucleus together, and keeping those orbs that are trying to get in out and letting them in selectively. Over here, it's there too, but it's hard to see because it's brighter. But you see all the orbs, and they're actually transparent but can take on any color. They're sort of like water. They look clear, but they're not totally transparent, and that's why you can pick them up. But in the same way, when you have so many of them in front of the lens at such a distance, there's like zillions of them, and they distort the photos that I take, because the photos are taken at a very high speed, at like 1/1000th or 1/2000th of a second per shot, and they catch the orbs, and the orbs are also part of the distortion in all those photos. So I guess there's not much to see tonight except orbs. And look how many of them, all those spaces like that, it's full of them, because it's just one cluster after the other. I'm trying to get to a point where you could see the roundness of the moon, but that's hard to do. I think I can see it now. Okay, but there is no dark part of the moon. The dark part of the moon is space full of orbs. That's the dark part of the moon. And the bright part, that's an orb cluster. That's, you know, an orb cluster in the form of just a sliver of the moon, because the orbs create the phases this way. They create the, you know, either a large orb cluster nucleus or a small orb cluster nucleus, and we call these things phases. But there's no such thing. The orbs are doing this for themselves. It's not like the moon is getting a reflection from the sun and it's at a different angle or anything like that. Okay, it has nothing to do with the sun or sun reflection. This whole thing is lit up from within with the all this activity by the orbs, and you can see some of them right there on top of the lit up part of the nucleus. Okay, but look at them over here. Okay, and that's all over. And these are large. They're not, you know, they look small on the camera because it's so far away, but these are hundreds of miles each, like in diameter. Those round ones right there, they're hundreds of miles each. And they come in various shapes. They can change into many different things, and they can change their color into many different colors. There's no color in the color chart that they can't change into, but the reason they're invisible and we call it dark matter is because they're like water, almost transparent, and they're very clear, but you can still make them out. Okay, they're not totally transparent, and that's what causes all the distortion in the videos and the photos, because look how many of them. You see them right there going around the whole thing. Well, that's what causes the distortion, because they're not only in the back of the Moon Hologram or cluster nucleus, they're in front of it, and they're from here to there, like even in our atmosphere. So when you put billions and trillions and zillions of them in front of you and try and take a photo or video, obviously you're going to have distortion. Okay, and on the Moon hologram itself, they're in layers. The way they formed that nucleus, it's layered, and all the layers are like a separate dimension. So then you have also, besides everything else, you have dimensional distortion, and this causes even more problems when you're trying to, you know, take a picture here from Earth all the way there. But anyway, you're still able to take photos and video, but you have to, you know, look at the things carefully and try and decipher. It's almost like looking for clues. What's what? You know, you have to decipher what do the images represent. You know, not just take a quick look and say, this is all blur, and it's not worth looking at. That's where you make a mistake, and mistakes like that can be costly, because these things, you know, they're alien, and they're very intelligent, and you make a mistake like that with an intelligent alien life form that's very close to our planet, can be extremely costly, because these things move so fast and can be here, before you can blink. And they're also very powerful. They can do many different things. They can change into many different things. They're shapeshifters, and they can do serious damage, serious harm, and all kinds of things. So they shouldn't be underestimated. Or, when you're looking at pictures someone shows you, excuse me, you should spend time to look at them and not just, ignore them. People are too used to, the television or their computer screens and their games, which, don't have that sort of distortion. But, don't forget, those aren't real. This is reality right here. And reality is not the same as your little computer screen. Reality is reality. And it's always in motion, it's always in a state of change. Whether it's an evolutionary type of change or just change itself. You see how different this thing looks now than just a few minutes ago? You see? Totally different. All those big orbs, there's just these two left. 3 of them. So I'll try and do some pictures with contrast so that you can see the images in those 2 last videos I put out for what they really look like. But for me, that's just like a waste of time, because after all these videos I put on and photos, tens of thousands of them, I'd expect more people to recognize the imagery. I see not too many people have paid attention, and that's disappointing, to say the least. So anyway, try and look at these photos that I put out with more care and attention. And if you have to stop the video, you stop it and you look at the thing, each photo, carefully. Because if you don't put the time into trying to figure out what these things are, you're never going to know what they are. You can't just have knowledge with someone telling you. You have to see this for yourself. And you have to be able to see it for yourself without anyone telling you what it is. Because if you can't see it for yourself, you see how the images just change? That's how fast things are over there. And these are fast-moving organisms. That's their life cycle. Everything is at fast pace. That's why they are in different dimensions, because they're in a state of motion that we can't even detect unless we're using, this is a camera that's using fast filming, and that's the only way you can see them. If I was using 30 feet per second, you'd never be able to see anything. So even this, if I shot a normal thing at this speed, it would be in slow motion. But look how fast it's going here. So take advantage when people do this for you. Don't just ignore it, because that's the wrong thing to do. Ignoring things like this can be very costly. Very costly for the planet, very costly for everyone on the planet. So, you know, let's try and put some effort into looking at these things more carefully. Okay, there's the supposed entire moon hologram. You can see the outline. I hope it comes out. But there is no dark side of the moon. It's just empty space full of orbs. All of space is just like that. It's full of these living organisms. It's not a void. All that's been a lie. Okay, the space is not a void. It's like an ocean full of life. And our planet is like a submarine, just plowing right through all this life. And this life it is sort of like water that we plowed through. And look at it. I mean, you know, we're not alone. Trust me. Okay, and these things can come down here anytime. They are down here, and they can turn into anything they want. They control energy and matter, and they can turn from energy into matter and back from matter into energy, just like that. As fast as you can blink, even faster. And they can change shapes, become different things. Objects, insects, birds, anything. I don't know if they can become people, but I don't take photos or videos of people for that reason, because I don't want to shock myself, let alone anyone else. But I'm sure they can be anybody or anything they want. Thank you for viewing. As I said, this is January the 12th, 2016. It's about 8:30, maybe 8:45 p.m. Thank you.